Hello, and thank you for joining us for block 22 of the Rock the Casbah Block of the Month quilt collection. My name is Julie Hall, and I'm going to take you through how we've created this magnificent block. What I love about this block is just how quick it is to create. So let's get started. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I've got my cutaway stabilizer, I've got my embroiderous felt laid on top, and I've got my needle threaded with wash away sewing thread. It's important that I use wash away here because it's going to save me from unpicking lines that are going to be visible later on. I'm going to stitch out colorway 1 and then come through and using a pair of large curved tip scissors. I need large ones because the embroiderous felt is just that little bit larger. I'm going to come through and trim away all of that excess felt, and that means that I won't have any bulk left in my seams, which is what I want at the end of the day. From there, I'm going to take my main fabric and lay it on top of the felt and stitch out colorway 2, again with the wash away thread, and that is going to secure that fabric and give us a basis for all of our embroidery. And you can see the wash away thread stitches beautifully. It's actually quite strong. And now I can come through and change over to my medium or pale teal colour thread, and I'm going to start with my applique pieces. Now the joy of this project is that there are only 4 pieces of applique on here. So if we come through, you'll see our applique is almost a triangle type segment. I'm going to lay the fabric over the top, and of course I'm using my teal applique fabric. And then I'm going to trim away the excess. And because I've come through and I'm now only using a single layer of thin fabric, I can really simply use my curved tip squeeze scissors, which are perfect for this because they get in really close to the design. And then I'm going to repeat that for the other 3 segments. Now you'll notice that I'm being quite stingy with my fabric, and it's one of the reasons that I prefer to do my applique this way than say using a cutting machine. What it does is it allows me to be stingy and to make the most of the fabric where I need to. And so we're on to segment 3 now. Loving the feature on my machine that allows me to move it backwards and forwards. And our last segment. Just making sure I get the most out of my fabric here. And that is the only applique parts that we have. So that was colorway all the way up to colorway number 10. So colorway 11 is showing us how or where we are going to do the satin stitch around these applique blocks. The satin stitch that I've chosen is a decorative satin stitch, and it is a circular style, almost a take on a, I'm just trying to find the right words here, almost a take on a bullion knot. So we have the the stitches which have been set to fully cover the applique, so you're not going to get any fraying around the edges, because we have set this to be in the exactly right position. And now I'm going to change to my deep pink colour thread, and colorway 12 is going to start the first of the stitched elements on the block. When I said this was one of the fastest blocks, I really did mean it. The entire block only took me about 40 minutes to complete. And what I love about the decorative stitching here is it is a motif fill stitching, and what that does is it actually gives you the impression of a lighter weight fabric on there. So you're getting a lot of texture and detail without a lot of actual stitching. And so the first colour that we're doing here is the deep pink, and then we're going to do our last decorative colourway in our dark teal thread. As always, whatever colours you choose to use are absolutely fine. Make your project your own. I'm loving seeing the colourways that people are choosing as this quilt progresses. I think some of the colours are just stunning, and it really makes me proud to have had a small part in the creation of such beautiful pieces of art. Now you'll see that also after this decorative stitching, which is colourway 13, we've excuse me, we've also done a hard outline, and that just finishes the design off and really gives you a strong finishing edge when you're looking at the block overall. Don't you just love doing thread changes? Now, thread change is an interesting thing. Normally, if your threads are breaking continually, it is a sign that you need to change your needle. When I start getting thread breakages, I look at speed, I look at needle, and then I look at the thread itself. If the thread is aging, you're going to need something like the thread serum that we sell just to plump that thread up. It's a water-based silicone, and it lubricates the thread and restores the thread, which is great for threads that are aging. Think of it like your moisturizer. Okay, so our stitching is now complete, and now we're up to finishing our block. I'm going to rethread with my water-soluble stabilizer, and then I'm going to come through and I want to take the hoop off the machine, and I am going to lay my wadding on the back. I'm then going to stitch out colourway 14, which is going to secure that wadding to the back. And from there, what I want to do is come through, and I'm going to flip the hoop over again, and I'm going to trim away all of that excess fabric. And that is because, again, I do not want any of the bulk of the wadding to be in my seams. So I've gone back to using my larger scissors here because I have to cut through the wadding, which is obviously more difficult. And then I'm going to take my backing fabric, which I have already pressed, lay it on the back, return the hoop to the machine, excuse my arm there, And again, with the wash away thread loaded, stitch out colorway 15 to secure that backing fabric. So now what you have is you have your quilt block backed with no bulk in the seams. The last stage is colorway 16, and we are going to come through and thread our quilting thread of choice. For me, it is white polyester embroidery thread, and I am going to begin the quilting. The quilting on this design that I have used is called the Beep Bop design. And it's a little bit retro, it's a little bit fun, it's quite an open design. One of the things that I like with the Casbah collection is not only are we giving you this fully completed custom quilted block to create, but you also get the quilting as a block of its own, and you get the quilting, you get the continuous quilting design that you can use for borders or any project that you might wish as well. As always, the blocks come in 5 different sizes, so they are in 9, 8, 7, 6 and 5 inch sizes. The one that I'm working on here is the 9 inch version. If you don't want to do this as a quilt as you go, you can stop the process after the last of the stitching and just do it as a regular quilt block. Totally up to you. Love the way the custom quilting comes through and just gets in all of those nooks and crannies and just makes those, particularly those applique sections, just pop up off the fabric. Okay, and we're nearly finished here, and now I'm going to come and show you what our completed quilt block looks like. So you can see here our completed quilt block. Loving how the colours are working together. You can see that for such a small amount of applique, it really does have a fully completed block look because of that extra stitching. As always, you can catch our you can catch all of our videos on YouTube, and thank you for spending the day with us. Have a stitching day today, guys. Bye.